Welcome back to Cali X Boxing 2.0. Like, sub, hit those alerts. As I do this video, we are on the eve of Spence versus Crawford. These guys have been the two top welterweights for about a half a decade. Two of the top pound-for-pound fighters in the world. This is a super fight. A lot of legacy on the line here, being that this was marinated for years, and both of these guys are now into their mid-30s. Both of these fighters rely heavily on winning this fight in order to cement their legacy. We're all aware of what's at stake here. Legacy, pound for pound, undisputed. Let's talk more about stylistic matchup here and how I see this fight playing out. First, with Errol Spence Jr., throws 35 jabs per round, relies heavily on the jab, comes straight forward with the high guard, and is at his best when he's moving forward. Great combination puncher, throws 4 to 5 punch combinations, and more on that in a minute. Errol Spence is also a great body puncher, mixes in body punching with going upstairs. With Bud Crawford, he is a special talent, maybe the most well-rounded fighter in the sport, diverse. There isn't a glaring weakness when it comes to Bud Crawford. Also a great combination puncher, he throws 2 to 3 punch combinations, being a little safer with his combinations. He's an offensive machine. He's a killer. Once he gets somebody hurt, the fight's over. 100% KO percentage at welterweight. This guy is a bona fide welterweight with welterweight power. Knows how to set up that power. Can catch angles from many different directions, being that he can switch hit. He can move from southpaw to conventional, back to southpaw, back to conventional seamlessly. And you barely notice slippage when he moves back and forth. Much like an NBA player who is fluent with the offhand, it opens up the court. Crawford is one of the less than handful of fighters who can seamlessly transition from conventional to southpaw without any slippage. But this is a key thing that people are missing when it comes to this fight and narrating this fight stylistically, and they miss the same thing with Inoue versus Fulton. Inoue is an underrated, undervalued defensive fighter, and so is Bud Crawford. Top 10 according to CompuBox, and his opponents landing a percentage of punches against him. And also top 10 in CompuBox when it comes to punches landed against him per round. His opponents are only landing a little over 7 punches per round against him. And I would argue some of those punches landed against him are purposeful in order to lure his opponent into position so he can knock them out. I'm bullish when it comes to Crawford winning this fight against Spence. Why? Not only do I think there's a level difference here, Bud being a special fighter and Errol Spence being a great fighter, I also think stylistically this fight lines up well for Bud Crawford. As I stated earlier, Errol Spence likes to throw 4 to 5 punch combinations. Bud Crawford is a great timing fighter. He knows how to set up the punches he wants to set up for later in the fight. Being that he's a great counter puncher, he'll be able to time Errol Spence's longer 4 to 5 punch combinations as the fight goes on and set up his money punch. I think this will be an entertaining fight throughout, but what will be a competitive fight early will eventually turn into a more one-sided affair as Bud Crawford starts to take over the fight in the mid-rounds. This is all subjective, of course. We're all just guessing. We'll see tomorrow night. But from where I'm sitting the day before the fight, I like Bud Crawford to take over this fight in the middle rounds and either win a clear decision against Errol Spence or a late stoppage. Either way, I think we get a great and entertaining fight, and I'm looking forward to this one.